In this video, we are going to show how QUBE organizes your QuickBooks information into data models and explain why they're exponentially easier and powerful to use than third-party ODBC connectors. QUBE is a traditionally modeled data warehouse and contains 35 data models to allow you to begin creating reports and visualizations in a tool of your choice, without ever having to deal with the Intuit SDK, tables, relationships, mapping documents, or data dictionaries. The goal of QUBE is to let you focus your valuable time on creating reports and less on trying to figure out how everything works inside of QuickBooks. If you look at how a third-party QuickBooks ODBC connector works, your initial reaction is, yes, I have access to my data, but you still have no idea what tables and fields are needed for a particular subject area, or how QuickBooks translates to the data availability of the Intuit Software Development Kit. There are no public mapping documents, and there are no data dictionaries. Realize that even third-party QuickBooks ODBC connectors have to use the Intuit Software Development Kit to extract data and make it look like tables. That's not how the data comes out from the Software Development Kit. Intuit has never given any developer a direct connection to the QuickBooks database and never will. Do you think that the Intuit Software Development Kit gives you a feel for cost of goods sold? No, that is something you have to reverse engineer. Let's look at a simple bill example from the Software Development Kit. A bill has 6 different components, meaning there are multiple tables and multiple connections to other lists. And all you get is one quantity field and one amount field. Bill would only be one possible transaction of over 20 that would contribute to, say, job costing reporting. And they all look a little different when extracted by the Software Development Kit. And you still would only have several available measures for each. QUBE has dozens and dozens of measures that the Intuit Software Development Kit or third-party QuickBooks ODBC connector do not have and never will have. We connect the dots so that you don't have to. This is an out-of-the-box job cost details data model example. And if we go look at the actual data model here in Power BI, anything that starts with a period, these are the internal measures that QUBE creates. So these would be available in Access, Excel, Tableau. And then for Power Pivot and Power BI, we add all of these extra measures. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are several hundred in here. So let's recap the benefits of QUBE data models. First, they save you tons of time because you don't have to figure out how the Intuit Software Development Kit works, how it represents the QuickBooks data, or learn about the holes and shortcomings in the SDK. This is built by accounting professionals, longtime QuickBooks Pro advisors, and publicly successful SDK developers. You can aggregate any information from QuickBooks files. You can also have information that QuickBooks reports don't even have. And of course, you can use something like Power BI or Power Pivot or Access to combine the results of several data models simultaneously. Let's look at some of the common questions we get. I want access to the raw tables and not just the views. What if QUBE doesn't have what I want? In 14 years and thousands of customers, we rarely get comments from anybody about something that is missing. Another question we get is, can't I just use the general ledger details? This is a common misconception because of the historical familiarity of this method. First, it doesn't contain non-posting transactions and contains only several measures. Second, things like AR and AP can't be reverse engineered because the SDK is missing some needed pieces. Third, you can't reverse engineer a balance sheet by class because QuickBooks calculates that in its own reports at the time the report is run. QuickBooks doesn't store the splits of the AR and AP underneath the hood to save some space within the database. And of course, you only get several measures. We also get questions about combining multiple data models in one report or combining data with other systems. This is something that you can do, of course, in Power BI or even Power Pivot. And then, of course, lastly, Power BI and DAX experts want access to our methodology. And that is all documented on our website. We hired the best in the world, Marco Russo, to help us with our Power BI implementation. And all of this is available to the general public. In all, QUBE has 35 data models, which are organized into logical subject areas, which are complete and do not rely upon other data models. So if you use a Cube inventory data model, it would already contain the sales, purchases, general ledger, and more. We have models which are designed specifically for Excel, and we have some models which are designed specifically for Power Pivot and for Power BI. There are two types of data models. First, we have the detail for subjects like inventory, job cost details, sales, purchasing, payroll, and general ledger detail. And then we have the summary, which are for financial statements and things like trial balance activity. Here are the Cube detailed data models. First, we have sales, which contains everything related to customers, items, profit, and general ledger detail. So you can see buying patterns, trends, and calculate sophisticated commission structures. Sales orders is also a separate submodel and can be a standalone or is also included in the sales detail data model. Accounts receivable contains line level details. Jobs, time, and mileage, which is based upon items and also allows for balance sheet cost accruals. The job cost details also contains the information in the time tracking and vehicle mileage subdata models. Inventory contains not only inventory activity, but sales and purchasing history and consumption measures for assemblies. Vendors and payables contains purchases details to analyze buying rates. The purchases data models also contain information from the subdata model open purchase orders. Payroll contains all posting and non-posting payroll and liability activity, and a way to determine what taxes have been paid or not. General ledger and accountant contains general ledger detail and a special profit and loss detail which allows you to drill down to the details of any posted transaction. Then we have the summary data models. Financial statements, including by class, has three types of data models. The first is a standard completely monthly period for 36 periods, which includes balance sheet, profit and loss, statement of cash flows, each of which allows side-by-side actual and budget figures, including multi-currency. Of particular note is the statement of cash flow, which allows you to have 36 periods side by side. In QuickBooks, you can only do one period at a time. The second is for enterprise only and is a standard complete monthly period profit and loss, which again allows side by side, but this time you have actual budget and forecast figures, something you can't do in QuickBooks in one report. Then we get to the flexible custom period financials, the balance sheet and profit and loss, which are aggregated by day with no restrictions on historical date ranges. The balance sheet includes actual and budget side by side, and the profit and loss contains actual, budget, and forecast side by side. We designed these specifically for Power Pivot and Power BI and have added an extra 450 DAX formulas for use in those applications. Next, we have profit and loss by 52-53 tax year following the IRS tax code. So you can have periods of say 445, 454, 544, and 13 by 4. Lastly, we have a series of trial balance data models, including an all-date model, which allows you to quickly check the integrity of the QuickBooks data file. And again, we include 36 periods side-by-side trial balance activity and trial balance activity by class, helpful for forming KPIs. If you want to read more about our intention and details for each data model, you can go to the URL that is listed here. Or the best thing to do is download a 15-day trial, which is fully functional and no limitations. This concludes the general discussion on Cube data models.